point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
But guts, right now, will make you rich.
Our culture does align with that in a lot of ways. You are not enough. You are what you produce.
Over the money!
Looks like the old goat is finally going to invest some big money with us.
What do you get out of this? What's the big kick?
Maybe a lot of money.
Greed is right. Greed works.
When you start seeing it as this is something that's not only individual but structural, it sort of wakes you up to patterns, behaviors, cultural norms, ways of doing business that I think are not actually of the kingdom.
Do you think you've done anything wrong?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege.
You know, we can put Jesus on something, we can quote a Bible verse, but then if we act in a certain way, we're actually partnering with Mammon and not with Jesus.
God help me, I do love money.
Businessman, I love money, I love power.
Right now, I am God!
Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit.
But in too many instances, they parked their moral compass at the door.
The lie I used to believe about money is that it all depended upon me doing it, right? So I put all the burdens of the world on my shoulder, and I would do whatever I can, any way possible, to succeed in an organization. Have my organization succeed, my team, my organization. What you realize is that God has a lot of people out there willing to help you, and you don't have to do it all yourself. When I went to college, my father and mother did what they could for me, which was pray for me and shake my hand on the way out the door. Worked a bunch of jobs, got through college. The important thing was God laid it on my heart in 1977 to take a 6th course in computing, programming languages. And when I got out, I had 8 programming languages, and I made twice as much money programming than I did working in the finance sector, the 2 offers I had. And the important thing is, God had a plan for me. Later on, when I became a Christian, I realized that his hand was always on me, and he was directing me. See, I could control a lot. I was quick on my feet, could speak, I could think my way, act my way. I always was able to work my way out of it in some way, through my own means. And then he put me in a situation that I had no control. My only way through that was to surrender to God, and to start, understanding that it wasn't about me and what I could do, it was about him and what he could do through me. The transformation has been with Potomac Angel Capital. We used to work, and Lynn and I early on, with direction of God, used to give away. And so we decided together what we would give away, which was 50% of our net earnings because my income was very cynical. Every 3 to 5 years, you get a big hit, you take half of it, you give it back to God, you put it in donor's ice on, and you just give it away. And now we have a complete revolution in that whole area, in that we invest it and we can get the principal back and we can have social good.
For many years, I believed that money was the evidence that I succeeded, or that I was married to somebody who succeeded. I used to think that money is the answer to every problem, that rich people didn't have any problems, God has shown me that that's absolutely not what the truth about money. It's an experience rather than just a word on a page. God's promises in his word are amazing, of course, but until you experience those promises being real, either from hearing from him or for having him orchestrate a situation that has to be God. Until it happens, until it happened to me, my faith was, I sort of wondered why there were all these wonderful verses about abundance and freedom and more, and I wasn't walking in that. And it really took hard work, and it took being willing to say, whatever it takes, Lord, that's the kind of life I want. I saw it in other people. I saw other Christians who seemed to have this amazing intimacy with God, And they would talk about how they heard from God and how God told them this and gave them this direction. And I didn't know how to get that. And I went to a wonderful church that was Bible believing, but they weren't open to how God wanted to work in our lives individually and personally. And it took being exposed to that for me to really start experiencing it.
I think we have to realize that mammon is more than money. It's a spiritual force that fights for our allegiance on a daily basis. It's the very power that motivates our greed, our envy, and our ever-increasing desire for more. You know, I think it's this power that fills our hearts. It creates a relationship with money that becomes about our control and our comfort and the continual collecting and consuming. And we think we have this power over money, but too often it's controlling us. And we slide into making it our master instead of surrendering all that we have and worshiping Him.
I spent a couple years working in the consulting business at a local government contractor. Good experience, but working for the government, there's a lot of red tape. There's not a lot of room for creativity. And I saw that the people that were doing best in my firm often were good people, but were certainly looking mostly at themselves. And then after that, I ended up joining a cybersecurity startup here locally that was led by faith-driven entrepreneurs and people who are really focused in that way. And it really opened up, I would say, the mindset to more of a mindset of generosity and blessing people versus looking to extract and grow at all costs. At Potomac Angel Capital, we started with this idea of the investor being able to bless the entrepreneur relationally. So if early stage entrepreneurs are incredibly vulnerable. And so if we can get an angel investor to walk alongside that entrepreneur and provide not only capital, which they need to grow their business, but mentorship, expertise, connections, networks, things like that are incredibly valuable when the business is as vulnerable as it might be in the early stages, then we not only will see a higher percentage of those businesses being successful, but we'll also be able to kind of give them the person, the entrepreneur, a way to grow into the person that God wants them to be. So the thesis is really investing in mission-driven founders who are pursuing a problem with a redemptive solution and investing in them for relational and social good. And so we've kind of cast a broad net in that we invest not only in believers, but also in non-believers coming from the values of Jesus. Angel networks are actually really, really essential, almost a foundation of any venture ecosystem. And the reason being is that early stage capital, really before institutions have the appetite to invest, has to come from individuals and friends and family. And for most entrepreneurs, they don't have a friends and family network that can fund the scope of their vision or get them to that next step. And so I think angel investors are absolutely vital to providing that bridge for entrepreneurs to get from maybe early product, early revenue traction, a few employees to, hey, we're actually growing at a really nice clip. We've proven product market fit, and now we're investable from an institution and can really take this to the next level. So if you're a solo angel investor and you're going out and trying to find deals and consummate investments all on your own, it's incredibly difficult to find really good deals. It's very time consuming and often requires a pretty specific and focused thesis, which can be hard to come up with and take a lot of time and effort. And so what angel networks do is really, in general, provide a structure so that these investors can walk in, they can learn, they can plug into a thesis that they care about, and a lot of the work is taken care of for them. So we go out at Potomac and we find the deals, we host the events, we structure the diligence teams, and we help them consummate the deal. So in the end of the day, they're paying for a service that really encourages them and helps them invest.
We say church parking lot deal, and often we wonder, what does that mean? I think we have to see that church parking lot deal is a classic problem in the faith-driven investing space. And oftentimes, it's an agreement that's just gone horribly wrong from the beginning. You know, we're blinded by misaligned expectations and deal terms, and we think, hey, we go to the same church, we share the same faith, so let's do a deal together. And these are often deals that aren't good for anyone. So we've got to think and reimagine what could be better. And I think angel investing can be that step forward, where we think about things thoughtfully and in community, Because it's not you alone doing that deal, but it's a multitude of counselors, each bringing subject matter expertise that's deliberate, that's thought through, and not getting swept up in the emotion of the moment, but seeing, is this a best fit and aligned expectation of entrepreneurs and investors?
When my wife and I've been married for 30 years, we came to Christ. God impressed upon our heart pretty early that this is all His money. And so I think we were being good stewards with His money and giving to charities that were near and dear to our hearts. But there's another step, and it's just kind of this faith-driven investing, and that tapestry of founders, and not just investing for financial reward, but for kingdom impact also. And it can all come together. I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, Patrick has just helped me really understand all the different nuances. I'm still learning that God can use Christians for investment. It's not just putting in a stock market or putting in a startup for maximum financial return, or it's not just giving to charities. There's all kinds of different scales in between and combinations, and it's just fascinating how God works and can work through that. It's just so creative. But I think also just listening to people that have been angel investors, Christian angel investors longer than I have, that's been fascinating to hear their stories. And I think there's a lot of material that Praxis and other organizations are presenting, but actually seeing those use cases in people's testimonies, and then when a founder presents, having those more seasoned angel investors kind of give their perspective spiritually, financially, just kind of EQ on the CEO, just all those principles kind of really come to life, and you understand them much better.
Faith-driven investing to me means I'm co-investing with God and with God's people for God's purposes. I think the angel network problem, the main problem that Potomac Angel Capital solves, is it gives these entrepreneurs an oasis in a desert of money raising, right? And the oasis is these are Christian people who actually care about me as an entrepreneur more sometimes than the opportunity, right? And that creates an oasis, right? That we want to leave every investor that comes in. We endeavor to give them, if we're not going to invest, we endeavor to give them positive impact. Like we all take time to write comments to say the feedback is X, Y, Z. These are the things that I didn't like and why I wouldn't be moving forward. So when we bring entrepreneurs in, they leave us better.
I think angel networks are actually a really great place to jump into if you're thinking about starting to make investments. And the reason being is, even if you jump in and you don't make an investment in the first 6, 12, maybe even 18 months of your membership, you're gonna be able to learn from folks who are really intentional and experienced in angel investing. So just getting in a room, seeing deals, listening to how other investors talk about those deals, what they're thinking about, why they like it, why they don't, is just an incredible learning experience. Not only that, but then just seeing a volume of deals. So one of the big pitfalls I see from investors who are trying to get in the game is the first 3 to 5 things they see, they like all of them, or they like most of them, right? Because they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's having this redemptive impact. I like the founder. It seems like it will work. And then they realize down the line, man, if I had known what I had known a couple years ago, I wouldn't have invested in that company, or I would have put more into that other company. So I think just learning in community is one of the biggest values, and that's why it's important for investors or folks who are thinking about investing to join local angel networks, especially if they're a believer and their values aligned. To join a community of folks who are bringing that to the focus, I think is huge, and just forming and shaping how their perspective is going to be and what their investing thesis is going to be moving forward.
Results are important, but I think as Christians, how you get to that result is as important, if not more important, than the result. Because how you get there is usually how you're treating people. And if we're salt and light in the world, then how we treat people and how we get there is more important, or as equally important as the results that we get.